Hey guys, it's Kelly. Welcome back to my channel. Welcome if you're new here. Today I'm going to be sharing with you a super easy Instant Pot recipe. We're going to be making Instant Pot beef stew. So here I have everything out that I need for this recipe, with the exception of that Jiffy mix. That is for some biscuits I'm going to be showing you a little bit later in the video. So to get started, I have my bowl here with 2.5 pounds of stew meat. And I'm just going to season it up with some of the Kinder's blend seasoning, and that's just salt, pepper, and garlic. And then I'm going to start adding some flour. Now, you can skip this step. You don't have to sear your meat in the Instant Pot to make this stew. I just prefer to sear the meat with a little bit of flour and seasoning before. But if you don't want to, you can just throw everything in the pot, set it, and cook it, and I'm sure it'll be just fine that way too. So now that I have my meat seasoned and the flour added, I'm just going to start adding it to the Instant Pot. And I'm just going to dump the whole bowl in there. I'm not going to layer it. I'm just going to throw everything in there, get it nice and browned up. Once you have it browned, you can do one of two things. You can leave it in there like I'm going to and add your broth to deglaze the pan, or you can take the meat out and start sauteing your vegetables. To me, that's a little bit hard with the Instant Pot because there's so much stuff stuck on the bottom. You will get a burn notice, as you can see there. So what I like to do at this point is add my broth to deglaze the pan. So I'm starting with 2 cups of beef broth. I will be adding another cup of water, so we'll have 3 cups total of liquid in this recipe. And again, that is 2.5 pounds of meat, and I'm using the 8-quart Instant Pot. So now that I have the broth in there, I'm just really using my wooden spoon to scrape the bottom because we don't want to get the burn notice. And once I have that all scraped, I'm going to start adding the rest of my ingredients. I'm going to start by adding 1 teaspoon of minced garlic. You can always use fresh. And then we're going to start adding our vegetables. With the exception of the peas, I'm going to add those last after it's all done. So since the pot was still hot and I had it on sear saute at this point, I just started adding the vegetables in with my hand. I didn't want to dump it in there because the liquid was getting pretty hot at this point. So now I'm just adding 1 more cup of liquid. I had some of the Better Than Bouillon still left in that measuring cup. So we have our 3 cups of liquid. And the last thing we're going to add is 1 tablespoon of Worcestershire sauce. And that's it. So now it's time to get the lid on and set our pot. So I'm putting my lid on. Mine doesn't have the sealing venting button. It automatically seals. If yours doesn't, obviously use the sealing button. And I'm just putting it on pressure cook, and I'm taking it up to 37 minutes. While I'm waiting for that to pressurize and cook, I'm going to get my biscuits ready. And I'm just making like the knockoff Red Lobster Cheddar Bay biscuits. I'm using the Jiffy baking mix. You can always use Bisquick or whatever you have. So I'm using 1.5 cups of the baking mix. And I'm also going to be using milk. I think I put 1/2 cup in there. And we're just going to add some garlic powder and cheese. It calls for 1 cup of cheese. I'm just using what I had left in this bag, which was about 1/3 of the bag. So once I got that all mixed up, I just used a small ice cream scoop. I put it on my parchment paper and I popped it into a 350 oven. And they took about, I think, 13 minutes to cook, 13, 14 minutes. When they came out, while they were still hot, I had melted some butter with a little more garlic powder back there. So I just brushed those and plated them up and set them aside and waited for the stew to finish cooking. I did a quick release, and once the pin dropped, I took off my lid. The stew is done at this point. The meat was super tender. The vegetables were cooked perfectly. I just know that I like my stew a little bit thicker. So I ended up doing a cornstarch slurry with just some cornstarch and water. If you like it a little bit thinner, you could just throw your peas in at this point and let them heat through. That would be fine as well. So once I had the cornstarch in there, I added my peas and I had it on the sear saute, and I let that go for probably about 5 or 6 minutes, and then it was at the perfect consistency. So here's how it looks plated up. This was so easy, and you could make it even quicker if you don't want to sear your meat first. You can just dump everything in there and go. But this turned out to be a really easy weeknight meal. I hope you guys enjoyed watching this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. And if you're new here and you haven't subscribed yet, please do. I'd love to have you around, and I will see you guys on the next one. Thanks for watching. Bye.